Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh and Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned. My friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Greetings, Spice fans! Silk City Hot Sauce is now sponsoring the Dorkening Podcast Network. Our craft sauces are made in Vermont in small, high-quality batches using locally sourced, farm-grown ingredients. Silk City Hot Sauce comes in a variety of heat strengths and killer flavors like Jezebel, Erotic Fever, Mango Madness, and Good Morning Jonestown. And don't forget our newest creation, Hot Syrup. Make no mistake, Spice fans, this is the queen of sweet heat. There's new and unique flavors coming out all the time. Best of all, right now, listeners of the Dorkening Podcast Network can go to silkcityhotsauce.com and use coupon code DORK. Not only will you get 20% off your order, we'll also throw in a free bottle of hot sauce. That's silkcityhotsauce.com. Coupon code DORK.
Hey, happy everybody. You're watching the Dorkening. My name is Leo. I'm monkey behind the keyboard here. We have a killer show for you today. And as always, Brandon, how's it going, bud?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. It's another fantastic Wednesday here in Geekland. I hope you're doing well, too.
Dorkland. It's branding, dude. Branding.
No, it's pronounced Brandon.
Yo.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, Kat decided that she needed attention. Mika.
And how is the cat feline this evening? There we go.
Good one.
Steven.
Geekland, Dorkland, Jungleland. How's everyone tonight?
Dorkland.
Yeah, Dorkland. Making a Bruce Springsteen reference.
What's up?
I didn't get that. Talking music.
You're talking music. Leo's like, oh yeah, the boss. If his job was to suck.
Sports, music. I don't get any of that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I knew you wouldn't get my cover the spread and 10-1 odds reference with the Obi-Wan poster. Brandon got it, but you
Yeah, it's funny.
What was the reference?
So now that Connecticut has legalized sports gambling, that with gambling, there's like when you bet on sports, you can bet on the spread, or you can bet the odds. So when I posted the Obi-Wan poster, I'm sure we'll talk about that soon, but they released the release date, and I said 10-1 odds that'll come out on Super Bowl. They'll release a trailer because they only released the poster. And then Brandon said 10-1 odds, I can't even. And then I replied to that, and I said, did you want me to say it'll cover the spread then?
Yeah. See, he explained it. And now it's super funny to you, right, Leo?
Sure.
Jokes are always funnier when you explain it.
Do not push that button for me.
No. Fair play to you, Steven. Absolutely. You are correct. The womp womp should not be hit on that because you were just trying to explain it. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's kick it off because I know there wasn't too much there. The Nintendo Direct. Steven, you watched that?
Yeah, it was crap. There wasn't that much to
The
review.
last one was crap too, right?
People were begging for Mother 3, which we got Earthbound on Nintendo Switch Online. Metroid Dread is going to get like a big expansion pack, or not an expansion pack, like a boss mode, and they're going to get like you can play the game, but if you die once, that's it. You have to play again. So if you
it's like real life.
That's fucking stupid. The game is so hard to begin with.
Yeah.
How's that? That's not stupid. That's going to be a challenge for some people.
Yeah. So
that's going to be a challenge for everybody. Even just playing the Yo-Yo, have you tried Dread?
Nope.
Oh my god.
The interesting one, the one that I was a little outraged about, was Mario Kart 8. They're releasing a paid DLC and they're doing like a season pass for the next couple years, and they're going to release tracks from various games, like remastered tracks from all the Mario Kart games. For $24.99, you get the whole season pass for the next couple of years.
It's not bad.
No, but it just, I'm not the type of person that likes.
He doesn't like it because he's not going to pay for it. I get it.
No, I like the game. I just don't want to pay for extra tracks.
You don't want to pay for a game you've already purchased once.
Yeah. So
I totally understand.
To play the devil's advocate, I mean, if you're paying for new content of the same game, you're not really paying for a new game. You're paying for new content that is part of that game. So you're not like paying for the same game twice because it's things that you otherwise would not be able to play.
To go
I'm not like going against your opinion.
No. Basically, what I was saying was, long story short, Nintendo can suck my socky, sweaty balls.
I feel like you should have said that at the top of this. I like how you make it a long story and then say to make a long story short. Are you part Irish? Because we have no idea how to make a long story short. We can make a long story even longer.
Wait, so that's inherited?
I mean,
no, I mean that.
I think it's
totally...
more. I think it's more of a nurture than nature thing, but
every time someone says long story short, I always say too late because The Clue is one of my favorite movies, so I always try to respond that way. So,
what really happened was.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, since you said that, I tend to over-explain shit, and I'm part Irish as well, and it's just
like when?
Huh?
No, I'm just kidding. Don't do it. It was a trap. It was a trap. Don't. I'm just fucking with you.
I was gonna say I'm also part Irish too, so I'm like inner battles. Yeah.
Yeah. Make a long story short, you've been talking for 4.5 minutes. That was the short version? What the fuck are you doing, RW?
I haven't talked at all. What are you talking about?
I know, but you're literally an inch away from your webcam.
Oh,
you're
am
like
I?
fogging it up.
He's checking his nose hairs, you know?
Yeah,
just,
checking my nose hair. Back in the day when Mario Kart 64, which is funny because I tried playing that recently and it's like horrible, but no one could touch me. And a friend of mine posted on Facebook, this is like back in Jesus Crow, 2007, 8, something like that, playing Mario Kart. And I'm like, 64? And they're like, no, Wii. And I'm like, oh, I haven't played that one. So I ended up getting a Wii and no one could touch me on that. And everybody goes, I bet you can't beat me on Rainbow Road. And I'm like, okay. And like literally first try, I beat him on Rainbow Road. But then I got the Wii U and played that Mario Kart. But I don't have a Switch or anything. But yeah, back in the day.
Well, hey, you were one of the 8 people that got a Wii U, so that's great.
Yeah, 7 actually.
Actually, hold on. Wii U's are like super collectible now.
Oh, fuck. I shouldn't have gotten rid of mine then.
But
It
yeah,
helped pay for my Switch.
Yeah.
Everybody that I know did the thing where you go around corners and you do that drifting, which gives you more power and stuff. I could never figure that out. So I won every time without doing that. And so I would say out of 100 games, I came in first 70 of those, and 10 of the games I came in second, and then the other 20 I lost. So I had a pretty good record of playing that game. But my reflexes and my eyes are so bad now, I probably could not win if I tried. But
so, anything else come out of this Nintendo Direct announcement other than a whole bunch of hurt feelings?
Unless you guys like Xenoblade Blade Chronicles 3, then no.
Sounds right.
They announced like a bunch of Japanese games that'll get remastered for the first time in America. Then Star Wars: The Force Unleashed will be.
Oh, finally!
Yeah. So really, nothing really.
Yeah.
No.
The only way I will buy a Switch is if it's the only place that GoldenEye when it comes out is. Other than that, I don't plan on buying a Switch. But I hear rumors that it might be on the Xbox and on the Switch, and it might be here and it might be there.
Yeah.
But that would be the only reason I'd get a Switch is so I could play GoldenEye again.
Yeah.
But I did try to pre-order Star Wars Lego Skywalker Saga today. But apparently the credit card company sent me a new credit card that I wasn't aware they sent me. And even though my old one has not technically expired, it's no good anymore.
Well,
so,
I wanted to pre-order the Evil Dead game because the pre-orders for that came out earlier this week, and apparently there's like 3 different versions to get. And I wanted to pre-order the one where you get like the replica Necronomicon, and there's like a special Ash character skin that Tom Savini made that no one else can, that wasn't in the movies, and I'm not paying $200 for that. But
yeah,
oh wow.
But yeah.
Well, speaking about old things that they're bringing in, trying to make new again. Anybody check out the Book of Boba Fett?
Yes.
Or as I like to call it, the Book of Boba Fett presents The Mandalorian season 2.5.
Or
yeah, but to be fair, and hold on, let me throw something up on the screen first.
Spoilers.
Hold on. So yeah.
Spoilers.
Let me know when you're done.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Wait, why is there just like the single fucking spoilers at the end of that goddamn banner? You fucking put it twice. Oh, never mind.
Or like
OCD
the
kicking
poster I
in.
put in the group chat of the good, the bad, and the ugly, with the good being the Mandalorian, the bad being Cobb Vanth, and the ugly being Boba Fett. It was the good, the bad, and the ugly poster.
Yeah, I saw it. I
Pat Bane,
throwing down.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of cool stuff that happened in the last few episodes of the Book of Boba Fett presents The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And way to make a fucking show about Boba Fett. His name is literally in the title. And everybody was champing at the bit to find out if how he made it out of the fucking Sarlacc pit. and they legitimately made him the least interesting person in the entirety of that fucking show.
I think they redeemed him in the last episode. I
No.
really like what they did, especially the showdown with Cad Bane.
I'm glad that you are satisfied.
I mean, especially given the Western aspect, like they channeled so many Western references in this
Well-
episode.
I didn't, the Western part of it, we saw a lot of it in Mando, and we didn't really need that again. But as a story within the overall universe, I think it did really well. It definitely, obviously, heavy into Mando, and it's really played into what we're going to see in the Mando season 3. It did, I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't, but I like knowing what happened to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And again, spoilers, having Luke, in the last episode, I'm a little shocked they didn't bring in another character, or,
They didn't do enough of that in these past 3 episodes. I mean, you got Luke,
no. I
you got
mean, like,
Ahsoka, you got Cad Bane, you got fucking what the hell is his name? Vanth. I mean, they pulled all kinds of people from other shit in these last 3 episodes. What else did you need here?
No. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, like, when they definitely subverted expectations at the end.
Yes, because I thought it was going to be awesome, and then it wasn't.
So was this the last episode?
The last episode, yeah.
I fucking hope so.
I haven't seen it, but Tracy's youngest, Kai, was watching it, and I walked by the TV, and I saw the Mandalorian, and I'm like, "Is this Boba Fett?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I walked out of the room because I haven't seen it yet. But it's sort of like let's do a show called Magnum PI, but have all the episodes about the Addams family. Like, what are we doing? Like, yeah.
Well, to be honest, the first 5 episodes were all Boba.
Right, but it's
4
like
episodes were all Boba.
Yeah, I don't know. The one I already saw that was literally entirely the Mandalorian until the very end when his sidekick shows up and whatever. I'm like, what was this? Why wasn't this on the Mandalorian? It's called the Book of Boba Fett, and Boba Fett wasn't even in this episode, which is like really strange to me. I mean, not saying that I didn't enjoy the episode, but it shouldn't have been a Boba Fett episode.
Well, I mean, that stands like that comes to where I stand because I did enjoy the episode more than any of the other fucking episodes up to that point, which shows that your problem with the Boba Fett show was Boba Fett. It's fucking nuts. I can't wrap my head around the decision-making process involved here.
You want to hear something really strange?
Better off just doing something like what they did with Mandalorian in the Book of Boba Fett with Boba Fett than to make a Book of Boba Fett show and split it the way they did. You should just had him be like a secondary kind of filler episode character on the already established show. You didn't need to do this limited series. You could have just had it be part of what was going on. Which they gave him 4 episodes and then brought it right back to the shit that the Mandalorian was doing.
Which we talked about. We talked about some people don't deserve their own show because it doesn't work or whatever.
Exactly.
So, there you go.
Exactly.
But,
This shows exactly, it proves the point of that conversation.
Steve has something though, so let's not cut him off.
Sorry, Steve.
No, I was just saying you could talk about strange, and I was just saying you want to hear something really strange, and I heard a rumor that if they do a season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, and I don't know how they would do this, but there's supposed to be rumors that Boba Fett would go after Mace Windu. I don't know how the hell they would do
you mean
that.
the fucking dead Jedi?
Yes. I don't know how the hell they could do that. He's dead.
And I mean, how many people have died in Star Wars?
Oh my fucking god! Listen,
years after
they're playing.
Death. So
they're playing with fucking
hell?
force fire, man. I tell you, if they start pulling at the threads of every single weird ass fanboy conspiracy theory about how everything's connected and everyone's alive, then they're just gonna turn into the fucking next wave Snyder cutters. They're just gonna start making demands and using hashtags doing the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. They'll do things like put out a fucking diatribe of a message and then put hashtag, release the Bobaverse, hashtag boycott Lucasfilm and Disney. Well, which one is it, dickheads? You can't boycott the thing that you want the thing from. You either go to it and support them or you don't. You can't have it both ways, fuckheads. Sorry.
So I'm not giving into any rumors, but I agree.
Really?
Well, no.
King of Reddit.
Well, yes, king of Reddit, but I'm just saying, did I enjoy Snyder Cut? Yes. Am I pushing for them to do more? If they do more, they do more. If they don't, they don't. I'm enjoying.
So no worries.
I'm enjoying what they give us. Same thing with Star Wars. I'm enjoying learning more about the Star Wars lore. I can see a larger picture that these stories are playing into. We needed to see what happened after Return of the Jedi. What happened after you had the loss of Jabba and you had that power suck totally gone. We needed to know what happened.
We needed to know that. We needed to know that. We needed to know who took over on Tatooine in the power vacuum of the criminal underground.
Well,
of a desert planet that nobody really fucking cares about.
It kept him up late at night just thinking.
Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett presents The Mandalorian season 2.5 featuring Dune 2. I mean, for real. Anybody else watch this fucking limited series, quote limited series of Boba Fett? And every single time they were like, desert planet, spice. I'm like, I saw this movie on HBO recently. It's weird that they put the sequel series on Disney Plus. No, keep your eyes peeled for somebody named Paul.
I'm hoping that they do Star Wars 4.5, so we know what happens after they destroyed the Death Star and how they got to Hoth.
They flew in spaceships through space and landed on Hoth. You know what? There could definitely be a whole movie on that. If we can make a whole movie off of many Bothans died to get us these plans, might as well fucking make a new fucking trilogy on the plane ride from the big explosion and pew pews to the fucking ice ball. Let's do it.
There's a bunch of missing years there. We don't know what happened. Like, how did they choose Hoth? Like, why did they go to this cold planet and hide out? Like, I think we Star Wars fans need to know that. Maybe call it Rogue 2 or something.
Oh my God.
Okay, stop, because all I can hear is like fucking angry circus music in my head right now. Stop.
Okay, so in my research for the article I'm working on, and we did this for another episode. I read, what the hell was it? It was a comedy book for Star Wars.
Was it the script to episode
1? It was
delightful.
Tag and Bink.
Oh, Tag and Bink.
Oh my God. And they did it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, they did a bit. It was they had the plans for the Death Star and they pass them on. And they're asking, well, who gave you these plans? And they said Manny, and they give his last name, Bothans.
So Manny Bothans.
Manny Bothans died.
Solid. Did you catch the Wilhelm scream in this last episode of Book of Boba Fett?
No.
Yes.
Somebody gets thrown a far distance.
Oh.
And yeah, by a person, place, or thing.
Moochie.
And just as they're like almost out of sight, you hear ah! I was like, yes. They snuck it in. That's great.
So I just have to say I am extremely happy they did not do a King Kong reference with friggin' Moochie.
Well, I mean, they did though.
No, I thought he was gonna die. I thought he was gonna
but regardless of
like a starfighter flies by, he swats at it and falls and dies.
But regardless of him not having that happen, once he climbed up, I mean, let me put it this way: I watched the episode with Dara, and
Yeah.
when he climbed up, she went, "Oh, nice, King Kong." Like,
Yeah.
all right. So if Dara, who I mean I love to the ends of the earth and back, but is not anywhere near like as steeped in pop culture and what have you, geek culture as I am and all of you are, nowhere close to it. When she sees that, she's like, "Oh, that's nice King Kong reference." That's a King Kong reference. You don't need to have him die and fall off the building. The fact that he climbed up and got to the top and was like, "Ah!" There you go. That's enough of a reference for it.
Did anybody ever play the video game Star Wars Masters of Terra Casey, or however you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. There were two characters in there, and I always thought it was funny because one's name was Thok and the other one was Whore. So it'd be like Thok and Whore. And I'm just like, who came up with those two names? Thok and
Lucas
Whore.
Lucas approved, baby. This, I don't know. What were you saying, Leo? Continue.
Yeah, no. I mean, I get the hate.
No, it's not hate. It's not hate. Like, please don't misconstrue. Like, it's not that I'm going out of my way to dislike this show. I mean, I sat down. I'm always cautiously optimistic and enthusiastic. I want things to be good. You know, I don't root against things, but I sat here for this whole series and I just grew more and more weary of watching anything that had to do with Boba Fett in quote present time and the whole like criminal underground daimyo thing. That was so fucking boring. It was the stuff where he was doing his best Dances with Wolves impression with the Tusken Raiders that was really like riveting and attention grabbing. It actually gave us, and that's the thing, they tricked us. It gave us the semblance of character development. But when you get to present time, it's just like, I don't want to fight. I just want everyone to get along and be here, okay? It's like, wow, man, you really are the biggest badass ass in the galaxy. You are everything that everyone's been touting you to be for decades. Can we hit that womp womp button real quick? Because like, yeah, it was just like so anticlimactic. Like to see where he ends up, like that's the tricky thing about doing like time jumps like that, going like showing, oh, this is what led to what you're seeing right now. Yeah, but now there's no stakes to what you're showing that happened in the past because I know he's okay right now. And then by the time it gets us like caught up and we're not doing any more of those time jumps backwards, it stopped being the fucking Book of Boba Fett show and became the Mandalorian 2.5. So why not just do 4 fucking episodes of a Boba Fett show and then dovetail the end of what that story was into the beginning of the Mandalorian season 3?
Because just then you'd have to wait longer for season 3.
It's perplexing. That's, you know, I don't know.
Well, I want to get everybody's opinion on it, but for me, I see a full story arc. We see, you know, we know Boba Fett, you know, most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy, how he went down like a complete wuss in Return of the Jedi. But you see him, you know, escape, but then you see him, you know, really, I think he learns from his mistakes, you know, his time with the Tusken Raiders, to wanting to, you know, protect Tatooine, which is now his new home. Well,
no, you're editorializing a lot, Leo. You're filling in blanks. You are not allowing the story to do the job it's supposed to do. And that's what they're relying on. They want people to just do that themselves instead of giving a better, more cohesive story. Because for someone like myself,
where did I fill in the blank?
He learned his lesson. He learned his lessons. What's his lesson? Because for me, having only seen the movies, right, and not delving into any other adventures of Boba Fett, all right, to me, the only real lesson that he needed to learn was to make sure that no one was standing around him with a fucking staff that could accidentally hit his jetpack and knock him into a fucking Sarlacc pit. That's the lesson he needed to learn. because that's the only fucking mistake I saw him make in the Star Wars movies. So that, like I'm saying, they're depending on people to fill in the blanks themselves. They're not giving you the story of full on like character arc and development. They have him pull out of the fucking Sarlacc pit that he he died in at the beginning of Jedi, and then they go full blown like, oh, we thought it would be cool if Boba Fett did survive, and then they, like I said, they very wisely like did all the stuff with the Tusken Raiders, but to jump back and forth and treat the Tusken Raider stuff as, backfill to bring you up to present, it takes all the flavor out of what's happening in the present. We only want to know. It got to the point where, if you think about it, we weren't waiting for anything to happen when he was here and now. It was, we wanted to see what happened to bring him there, and we just wanted to know what was going to happen after this. That's it. It was a placeholder. I'm going to stop talking about it so you guys can. I'm just going to put this in my fucking mouth.
Okay. Well, it's definitely a heated discussion, and people are definitely going to have strong opinions about it. But whether you liked it or didn't,
it's a thing.
It did have some very good, elements, and a lot of it obviously was without Boba.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem I have. Like, again, growing up in the 70s and 80s, you crave for more Star Wars stuff, and we did get the holiday special. But anyways, I think Jon Favreau, really has tried to give us Star Wars, like Star Trek did with The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and stuff. But you can't, again,
because those added a dynamic like more than these extra series and extra movies. In my opinion, personally,
I think I understand. It's not a direct comparison because he's extending the universe with things, but Yo-Yo, to your point, there is definitely more dimensional, like full dimensional stuff, personality, character-wise, situations with The Next Generation because it's not taking place in the same era as the original series. We're seeing it, how many years later, how many decades or centuries later. So what we're seeing with Boba Fett, it's like literally what, a year after Return of the Jedi occurs.
Well,
sorry. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just trying. Sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
Is he extending it, or is Favreau extending it, or is he saving it?
Expanding it. No, he's expanding it.
Yeah, well, he's saving it too.
No. See, once again, that's editorialization, okay? He's expanding it because that's a story that hasn't been told before, but you knew that there was probably a story that could be told. Like Leah was saying, like, people needed to know what happened here, and they took the opportunity because they needed to give this story to them. All right, and that's expanding upon what we knew happened with this character. But to say he's saving it, I mean, you could say that, but then you're gonna get my ass babbling again about did this save it? And I'll just
no. Let me paint a broader picture. I'm talking about Favreau with The Mandalorian and just everything that he's doing with Star Wars. And after everything that we got with Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi, he's saving Star Wars with Mandalorian.
Yeah, no, see, once again, no, he is not. He's working on Star Wars. There's a difference, okay? Because you're saying he's saving it. That's your opinion, Steven. Because if you ask me, he's fucking 1 for 2. He's done The Mandalorian, which was excellent, and he's done the Book of Boba Fett, which was mediocre.
Okay.
I would argue that it did not help Star Wars. The Mandalorian stuff for sure.
Now, is he also doing Kenobi? Or is that someone else?
I think that's someone else.
Someone else.
So what I was saying is, I enjoy.
I mean, Favreau still has his hands in
Yes.
everything,
Right. And I guess what I was saying was,
But he's not. He might be a producer or something on Obi-Wan Kenobi. But he is a direct creative force on The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. He wrote a bunch of the episodes. He directed episodes. You know what I mean? Like he was straight up there for it. There's a world of difference between being a driving creative force behind something and being sort of more of a referential creative force. Somebody who can be like, oh yeah, no, I'll help you figure out how to steer this character, or maybe this arc could be tweaked slightly. But for him, he was the guy that needed to do that for himself on these other projects. He and Dave Filoni, like they took charge alongside Robert Rodriguez and like Bryce Dallas Howard. You know, those are the creatives behind these two shows that we've seen so far. And he is acting, he and Dave Filoni are likely going to be like executive producers on so many other things, but it's gonna get to a point because they're working on expanding to so many different projects that they're not going to be able to have a finger in each one of those pies. They're going to be there as referential creative sources. That's all there is to it. Just like George Lucas was a producer on every single fucking Star Wars thing because he needed to fucking put his name on a piece of paper to approve whatever it is they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started on that. But the point is, you can't. I mean, even if we go back to the 70s or 80s and pick any show that was on. So let's say freaking, MASH. So MASH is about the war in Korea, about these people in a medical thing. If 5 of the episodes took place in Manhattan at a doctor's office or a lawyer's office or something, you're like, what the fuck is this? This isn't MASH. So if you're going to have a show called The Book of Boba Fett, let's make it about the Book of Boba Fett. If you're going to have a show called The Mandalorian, let's have that be about The Mandalorian. Don't have fucking 6 episodes that have nothing to do with the fucking title of the series. It just doesn't make any sense. And it's like, we didn't know where to go with this. And the only thing we could do to save this shit is to bring The Mandalorian in. And that's just horrible. Like,
that's exactly how it felt, RW.
Think this shit out before you fucking put it out there and like, coming soon, Kenobi, and then the first episode's about Kenobi, and then maybe the other
Kenobi starring Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, like but I'm just saying, like, why would you do that? Like, again, it just doesn't make sense to me that you it's the Book of Boba Fett, and you got 3 episodes or however many you guys are saying that have nothing to do with Boba Fett, or Boba Fett's in it for 5 seconds. It makes no sense to me. So I mean, that's just my opinion.
Makes me think of Paul Mooney, comedian Paul Mooney, just like, oh yeah, The Last Samurai, starring Tom Cruise.
So
the Mexican, starring Brad Pitt.
Okay, so
Obi-Wan Kenobi, starring Jar Jar Binks.
Yo, have you seen Boba Fett?
I have. I've seen like a couple episodes of the.
Yeah, you're in for a real treat when you get to the Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah.
So
you'll like this, Yo. The episode where Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, Mando, shows up. The name of it is The Return of the Mandalorian. Like, they weren't even fucking subtle about it. Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, no, it's okay. It's okay. And again, everybody has their own opinions. At the end, though, we do see, and again, spoilers, for those of you that haven't seen it. I thought it was going to be, Baby Yoda saving the day, but ultimately it was Boba Fett saving the day. Where something he did in the first, like the 3rd episode?
Yeah, 2nd or 3rd episode.
Yeah. He came in riding a large creature and
see, that's the fucking problem, Leo. Like, even you, right? You're like, I like the show and this and the other thing. You were fucking surprised when the title character
showed up,
solved the problem.
Well,
I wasn't expecting that out of
you expected the fucking Baby Yoda from the other show to do
no,
it.
I
Not
expected
the guy
that.
whose name is in the title.
Here's the thing. While watching it, there were certain things that I expected they were going to do for fan service, and they didn't. Like, they could have had,
Serious
Ahsoka.
fan service.
The Boba Fett riding the Rancor was a fan service back to Holiday Special.
Was it?
Throwback.
Holy shit. What a weird Easter egg.
Well,
I love the Cadbury one.
To be fair, Mandalorian made reference to the holiday special as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, the first time we saw Boba Fett was in the Holiday Special. He was riding this big monster. So technically, he was going back to his roots when he was riding that big Rancor. So technically,
yeah, but within the first season of Mando, there was some discussion. It was the little pig dude from Empire, the older one.
Gamorrean Guard?
No. The little mechanics from Empire Strikes Back, Bestman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the something not. What are they called?
Yeah, I
Ognot or something.
Ognot, yeah. So he was talking about how Mandalorians, there's a legend of one riding a great beast, and that was obviously reference to the holiday special, the cartoon with Boba Fett riding that great beast. But so I thought, there was a couple things where they could have easily taken the cheap way out. One was having, Baby Yoda save the day. The other one was, they could have had Luke fly in and save the day, or Ahsoka. And like they totally skipped, that King Kong falling reference. And even at the very end, when you have Cad Bane over Boba, and you think it's the very end, and you think, oh, Mando's going to come in and save him and shoot him from behind. It's not. It's Boba Fett's pure skill that gets him out of that.
Mm-hmm.
He reverts back to his training with the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, the one weapon that Cad Bane had no idea that he knew how to use. He was expecting firearms and firepower. Instead, he whipped his monkey ass with a big old stick from the desert. Good for him. I will say, I mean, talking about cheaping out on things, I did happen to notice this. I don't know what the name of the other Wookiee that they've befriended is named. I cannot remember it for the life of me. But
it's
yeah. But the thing is,
it's Black Crescent, I believe.
Okay.
Black Kirsten. Yeah.
But the thing is, when those big old giant versions of the spinning shielded droids, the shooting droids from like the Phantom Menace, showed up in the middle of the fucking town, they fucking slam him back as he like makes his way through one of the shields. He hits the fucking stone wall behind him, and it completely fucking wobbles because it's obviously fucking fake. Like, I'm watching him like, how much money did they spend on the special effects, both practical and digital, for this entire show, let alone this episode? And they still fucking missed that. That's beautiful. And I'm sure that there's hundreds of thousands of people that have noticed it already. And the first person that can put a video online that actually fixes that mistake, you will get a job with Disney. So vaya con Dios.
Now, did they do better with the deep fake reface AI stuff this time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they hired the guy who improved upon their Luke Skywalker with his deep fake to work for them, and he worked on Luke Skywalker for this, and it is 1,000,000,000 times better.
Isn't that funny?
If they can do that like that, what they did in the Book of Boba Fett / The Mandalorian, this mashup weird season show thing they just did, there is no need to ever worry about casting Sebastian Stan as a young Luke Skywalker, because they can do this for as long as Mark Hamill is alive to voice him, or just wait and use somebody who sounds like Mark Hamill. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they can already deep face voices too, though. So
yeah,
I mean, some of the samples.
Yeah, you can play it you can play the Back to the Future video game, and you would swear up and down that it's Michael J. Fox doing the voice of Marty McFly.
Yeah, he's playing the older, like grandfather or something. But there was a program that Adobe came out with a few years ago, but it never got released. So you can look it up on YouTube. And what they did was somebody would say a phrase like, I'm going to go to the store and pick up some milk. And then they play it back. I'm going to go to the store and pick up some milk. And it would show the words at the bottom. So they changed milk out and change it to bread and play it back. And it would go, I'm going to go to the store and get some bread. And it would say bread in the voice of the person who recorded that. So then you could change another word, and change the complete sentence to, I'm going to kill you right now. And it would sound like whoever it was that did it. And it was scary because the AI learned all the inflections and stuff of that person's voice who did that one sentence. So let's say it was Matthew McConaughey. He said the first sentence, and then they kept adding a word, taking a word away or whatever. And when they got done, they had a sentence that he never said, but you couldn't tell that he never said it.
Goes from, I remember driving a Lincoln before I was paid to drive a Lincoln, to, I'm going to kill you in front of your wife and children. Wait, what?
Yeah. And it's scary because you could like get a clip of some like Schwarzenegger saying something and then go in there and go, I'm going to have it say this. And you can't.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Yeah. But you have to look it up on YouTube. I forgot what it was called, but I think that it got so scary that they're like, yeah, no, we can't release this thing.
Jesus. But they did do a really good job with Luke Skywalker in the
R.W. Martin should be on some type of watch list.
But they did a great job on the Bobalorian, and I've decided now that's what I'm calling this little
Bobalorian.
The Bobalorian.
Okay, did you enjoy some of the show?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the expanded universe?
I liked when it became the Mandalorian.
So take the name out of it whatsoever.
All right, I like the last 3 episodes when another guy showed up.
It's like, oh, thanks, someone else.
No, I mean there was some cool stuff in it. It's just that Boba Fett was the least interesting part of this entire series, and that's not. And it's not because like he was interesting and so many other characters were just even more interesting. It's that he wasn't interesting, and they literally had to like surround him with other like either not fully developed characters or that seemed more quirky and new for the sake of introducing a new thing. Like I didn't mind the modded characters, but like, okay, that was like kind of out of left field. Didn't bother me, and I dug on it, and I even like how they kind of dipped their toes into the same kind of thing Lucas was doing even with A New Hope, and that is looking at mishmashes of styles. And they very much took the mod, and that's the fun part about it. They looked at the mod look, the mod designs of the 60s, and it was the future according to what the 60s thought the future would look like. And if you look at like those bikes and stuff that the modded folks were riding, it has a very like retro futuristic look to it. So it was very clever, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, like there was no inkling of any such thing like that for me in any of the other Star Wars stuff I'd ever seen.
And if Boba Fett is such a badass, why does he need to recruit all these freaking young kids to help him out?
Because he's fighting a war.
Listen, Boba Fett didn't want to fight anymore, and the only way he's going to not fight anymore is to get everyone to go with him and fight more. Wait, what? Am I wrong?
There was more. There was more to it. There was other forces
that's why I boiled it down.
I know. But there were other forces that were trying to take over Tatooine. And obviously they wanted to get rid of Boba Fett by force, and they sent an army to take care of him. And he knew he had to deal with that. He wanted to protect his home. But as an overall story, they're definitely going to be. It seems like they're definitely going to be bringing more from the cartoons into the shows. like we saw, and it was never confirmed, but you know it's Moochie. And we know we're going to be getting Thrawn. That's been confirmed. We saw Ahsoka. So it's, and Cad Bane. We got Cad Bane. And the after credit scene, you know, what's going to happen to his friend there from Freetown. He had Banff. He had the mod guy there waiting to do some modifications on him after he gets out of the Bacta tank.
The Bacta tank.
Yeah.
You need to take a bath in a Bacta tank. It's being used.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like I said before, I hope that the people who were champing at the bit for some sort of resolution to Boba Fett's story, which honestly is silly because the resolution was he fucking died in Return of the Jedi, but whatever. But they wanted a resolution to the character, and this should serve as that. And please just don't fucking bring us back to Tatooine ever again. Ever.
Where do you think
Obi-Wan's gonna be? That's where fucking Kenobi's going to take place.
Yeah.
No, he will eventually end up there, but you know, the point isn't that he's going to just be on Tatooine the whole time. The point is that he ends up going. What I'm saying, like, it doesn't make. Listen, if he goes at the beginning of the fucking show and he's just on Tatooine the whole time, why the fuck make that show? You literally just had a fucking show completely take place on Tatooine. Why?
But you don't know what's going on the other side.
Wouldn't it be more interesting, far more interesting, to have him eventually end up on Tatooine, because by the end of the series he comes to the realization, I need to be there to protect that kid, so Anakin or Darth, whatever the fuck that guy's calling himself now, doesn't find him and try to utilize him on the dark side. That makes far more sense, and I think that's the logical way they'll go. That's the story worth telling.
Since when does this thing run on logic?
Well, I mean, if we were having this conversation about The Mandalorian, then it wouldn't even be a question. But because we're talking about Boba Fett,
so
now we have to ask these things.
The first 3 episodes, he'll be wherever it is that, you know, Ewan McGregor was in, like, the 3 movies, those first 3 movies or whatever. And then Mandalorian's going to show up somewhere, and Kenobi's going to be like, hey, you wouldn't happen to be going to Tatooine, would you? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm on my way there now. You're like, hey, can I hitch a ride? And then episode 4 is the Mandalorian giving Kenobi.
No, will the Mandalorian be in a DeLorean? Because the only way that could happen is if he traveled backwards in fucking time.
Well, if they have time for that, then maybe, yes.
Okay, so the story is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. So he's been doing some work at like an old folks home, wherever, and then Mandalorian gives him a ride. Yeah.
Jesus. Mandalorian would have been like 6.
They'll make it work somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
in John we trust.
So looking at the cast, obviously Ewan McGregor is going to be Obi-Wan. They did cast Owen Lars and Beru, Aunt Beru.
The same people that did play them in 3 are coming back.
It's what is it, Joel?
Joel
Edgerton
and Bonnie Pease, and Hayden Christensen has been confirmed coming back. He hinted that it's going to be flashbacks with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Oh, cool.
I
hate you. It's going to be that.
So Lars is listed for 6 episodes, so there's a good chance a lot of it's going to take place on Tatooine.
So stupid. It really is.
I can't wait.
Oh, no one's disagreeing with you on that one.
I just don't understand it. It's supposed to be an entire fucking galaxy, and they keep going back to Tatooine. And the thing is, like, just because Anakin was fucking born as a slave on that planet, that is not a good enough reason to keep going back there. they haven't given us any good reason to keep going back there. You know, it's almost like, hey, you know what? George built these sets in Tunisia back in the 70s and they're still standing. We should just like keep using them. Fuck it. You know,
I don't think they're doing it there anymore, but yeah, it would be interesting to see Tashi Station.
We saw
that. We saw that in the book
already.
of Boba.
No, I know, but I'm saying more, you know.
Yeah, because I need to see more Tashi Station.
Still looking for my power converters.
Oh, but I wanted to go to Tashi Station and get power converters. I'm the whiniest savior of the galaxy ever.
Okay, well, let's move off of this because
Oh, come on, Ben. We can go back to my place. Oh, look, in the distance, I think Aunt Beru's making barbecue.
I'm sorry, I found that way too funny.
You don't have to apologize for laughing at something I said. Yes.
Okay, so are we saying Obi-Wan is going to be the next series? Because
I think so, yeah.
So that's what, Mandalorian 3.5?
Yeah, right.
According to the poster, it comes out May 25th. So
wow.
So then it's not.
Why? What's coming
What's
out?
the other series?
We have no. That's what I'm saying because Mando just ended, and I mean, what's going to be playing for about a month or over a month if it's coming out? Why is it coming out 22nd? May you got May 4th,
25th, May 25th. I know
that's when Star Wars.
Because
came out.
you know what it is? It's that they don't give a fuck.
No. So Steven, there was a leak last week about the Obi-Wan release.
Yeah.
But I think that was the leak for the comic by mistake.
No, the poster's right here. It says May 25th.
May 25th?
Yep.
Yep, Disney Plus. This
is not the date you're looking for.
That's not a comic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
This is not a series poster.
But I'm saying, besides Kenobi, Boba Fett, and Mandalorian, what are other Star Wars series that they're doing?
Well, we're waiting for She-Hulk.
No,
the Star Wars. No, they are going to be doing an
That's going to be a hell of a crossover. Just saying.
They're going to be doing an Ahsoka series.
Yeah, Ahsoka. They're doing a Lando series. They're doing a Andor series.
And it's going to be Billy D. Williams, right? It's going to be older Lando, isn't it?
He can't even walk.
Well, a good thing they have lots of fucking mechanized droids that can help people get around in Star Wars, I guess. I don't know.
They're also, and I heard that this rumor is turning into a confirmation very soon, but Star Wars 5.5, aka Shadows of the Empire, definitely
might, hey. It's
happening. It's
a lot of certainty.
It's not. No, they're going to take what they've done, as we know, is they've been taking bits and pieces from the legends and bringing it into canon and rewriting it. You know, it'd be silly of them to take the exact story and then rewrite it.
Yeah, it's like I said before too. They're not going to take an exact story and just directly adapt it to a live action show or movie, because they want everyone to walk in and have the same experience for the most part. They don't want anybody who's read the books or played the video games to go into a movie that might be using the same story and be able to know what's coming next.
Right.
You know, and I agree with that. That makes perfect sense, because that makes it a purely cinematic experience, whether or not you're, watching it at home or you're going to the theater. It keeps you focused on the medium that story is taking place in. I'd rather sit there and think about what's happening in front of me than comic books or novels or video games that I've experienced in the past. Like let the thing that's happening drive the story forward on its own merits, not resting on the laurels of what you have accepted as canon because somebody put it in a book. And I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Not you, Stephen, in particular. I mean, when one does that, when a person does that. And
Yeah,
and I get it. That's easy to do. It is.
And the only things that should be considered canon are the cartoons that they designated as canon. So Clone Wars and anything past Clone Wars. The comics, any of the new comics, I think it's from 2015 on. All of that is canon. So that
and honestly, I appreciate. I mean, I'm not like busting chops. Like I do appreciate that Lucasfilm under the Disney banner actually made that announcement. Like, hey, listen, these are all still great stories, but they are not canon. So don't think that you're going to see these translated onto screen at some point in the near future. We might cherry pick and find some stuff that works well and figure out how it's going to dovetail into the story we are telling. But for them to do that, it doesn't take away from the enjoyment that anybody had in those stories, but also keeps Star Wars from being inaccessible to anybody that hasn't read all of those things or seen all of those things. You know what I mean? Like, because you still, I can't stress this enough. First and foremost, Star Wars is a visual storytelling device, like for what's being presented. You are looking at movies and now shows, but still told cinematically, essentially, and that's the way the story should really be, like remain. You know, that's how George Lucas wanted to tell the tale. He wanted to make a movie, you know, and that's what those stories are. They are cinematic, and I just like that they are using high quality filmmakers and creators to do these things, and it has the look of a movie when it's being done. They're using excellent cinematography, and they have the Disney budget for effects and all that. So you don't ever feel like it's like a cheap extension of the things that have been presented previously. It really is an expansion.
Well, that invention of the 360 room is absolutely insane. But how would the four of you feel? And again, Boba Fett, I guess, I'm not saying this, but I'm not putting words in your mouth, Brandon, but a story that you don't feel really needed to be told any more than Rogue One did. How about a Disney series about Han and Chewbacca's adventures doing all of this stuff? Would that be a series that really has some meat to it, or no?
We've already gotten it.
Yeah, I was going to say they did the movie Solo, which I didn't mind so much, but I think it's very difficult because the way that those characters were cast initially, it really puts an insurmountable burden on anybody that's going to be cast as the younger versions to continue on. The kid that played Solo, I feel bad because I can't remember. I always just call him Orville Redenbacher.
Aiden Elric.
There you go. That guy. I actually don't think he did a bad job in Solo. I really don't. But there's just no way you can get away from comparing him to Harrison Ford as the character. And that's going to pull you out of the story every time. And also, as much as I truly love Donald Glover, I still cannot wrap my head around why they cast him as Lando Calrissian. I mean, I think Donald Glover is funny and cool and incredibly talented and smart, but I also do not think he is fucking Lando Calrissian. He is cool. He will never be as cool as Billy D. Williams.
Well, I mean, there's all this talk of making Millie Bobby Brown the new Princess Leia. Eventually, if you're going to tell backstories, you got to recast people, and people have to accept that Harrison Ford, Luke Skywalker, and Carrie Fisher aren't going to be the people.
They've already proven that at this point now they don't need to recast. They need to get somebody that fits the body style and then just let the computers do the rest. What they did with Luke Skywalker was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, there was no uncanny valley. It was
no.
Startling.
And I said this last week, if anybody's watching the Royal Gemstones, what they did with John Goodman was simply amazing. They took John Goodman as he is now and de-aged him to where it looked like he was from Roseanne, but with his current weight. it was like he stepped off the set of Roseanne. It was unbelievable, and they did it for an entire episode. And I kept on looking for faults, and I couldn't see it. It was an entire episode of a young John Goodman.
Okay, so but the thing is, so you just said no one's going to accept, anybody as Han Solo or whatever. So they could get me to stand in for Han Solo and put Harrison's face on me. But But since Harrison's alive, he might not want them to do that. So you'd have to wait for him.
So they will have him killed.
Yeah. So I mean, if that
but
technology there,
but the thing is too, like, even with that being the case, even if they wanted to just like digitally de-age and not have the actual original performer as part of it, other than their image, their likeness, their voice, whatever, for certain things like Carrie Fisher at this point, like, you have to wait years now, honestly, before you can utilize Princess Leia in any of these stories, because it's gonna be a sore and sensitive thing for a lot of people because of the fact that she passed away.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a modicum of sensitivity. And I think they've done a good job of putting it out there, saying like, we're not gonna touch this for as long as it takes.
That's for a reason, though, because the family estate said they didn't want her replicated.
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they did it.
Find a way to make it so.
I mean they did it for a scene. Rogue
One.
Yeah,
and they also did.
No, not.
Yeah, Rogue One.
No, not.
I think he's talking about
Last Jedi.
Yeah,
no, it was Rise Skywalker.
Rise of Scott. Yeah,
Rise of Skywalker.
Whatever training. And then some of the scenes,
but they also did Peter Cushing.
Yeah, that was terrible too. That was
it
full on Uncanny Valley territory. The lifeless
Fun fact,
eyes was
when
gross.
that came out, the Samsung phone that came out that year had literally the same technology in it. They literally just used the same technology that was in a Samsung phone to do that.
Wow, Disney really breaking the bank on that one. Well, how'd you do that? In Android. What?
Well, they spent all the money on the script, though,
So if
good job.
So if Solo Chewbacca, series is a no-go, what characters are interesting enough to have another series besides Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, and
was Boba Fett interesting enough to deserve another series? Deserve a series, though.
I don't think so. But here's the thing: the Mandalorian is a character that they created.
Right. So what are we going to create other characters to throw in the Star Wars universe instead?
Yeah, that's fine.
Why not?
Let's do that. Why?
Okay.
Not?
I'm trying to.
Well, the stories to be told.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Like, why couldn't we do that?
Right. Yeah, I wasn't saying that's what you're going to do. I'm saying, so if we're not going to do characters we already know, we're going to create new characters.
They are going to create characters we already know, but they're pulling them from stuff you haven't watched. So the Clone Wars is a huge part of what they're pulling from. I mean, there's tons of story there, and they're obviously going towards rebuilding of Mandalore, and eventually Mandalorian is going to be a leader of Mandalore. I think that redeeming Boba Fett at the end of the series, maybe he could play a part in the rebuilding of Mandalore. They talked about the story of Night of 1,000 Tears, which was referenced in the cartoons as well. And like we mentioned, Ahsoka, General Thrawn. There was a Jedi from one of the series. There's rumor of them bringing him back. So yeah, I think they're just going to start tying in a lot of the cartoons because they don't want to touch the last trilogy because it had such negative impact. But I could see them, bringing Han Solo in for a cameo like they did for Luke.
Well, I mean, haven't they already said stuff about Harrison Ford showing up in Obi-Wan Kenobi?
There's heavy rumors that Han Solo is going to be de-aged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's cool. Let's move on. As much as we all love talking about Star Wars, we can still kind of keep on track a little bit with talking about old things that have been brought back and kind of revisited and continued on. Disney Plus is going to be doing that with the X-Men animated series,
And Goosebumps.
which ended in September of 1997, and they released the episode count for the season that they are going to be releasing next year. I think 2023 is when it's coming out.
Next year.
It's going to be 10 episodes, to which my reaction to that was that sounds right. That makes perfect sense for the amount of time that they're giving themselves to get it done. Somebody that we know, their reaction was, oh, so 5 seasons and 75 episodes, and then this new one comes out, we just get 10. And I broke it down mathematically. I'm like, that only comes out to just over 15 episodes a season. If you average it, like 10 episodes instead of 15, like that's okay.
Will they be longer?
Maybe a solid half hour, or so. But my point is,
runtime.
10 episodes of a new season of X-Men, the animated series, continuing on from what was last shown in 1997, is a hell of a lot better than the 0 fucking episodes that you thought you were never going to get until they announced that they were going to continue the series on Disney Plus. So you went from no episodes ever again to 10. I mean, that's a fucking huge come up. I mean, in my book anyway. If I have $0 and then you give me $10, the $10 is better than the 0. I'll take it.
Besides the original voice actor that's going to voice Wolverine, did they announce any other castings?
I don't know. I don't think so.
And here's the other big question. With this coming to Disney Plus in 2023, is this to prepare people for X-Men in the MCU, or is this going to be in addition to some sort of an announcment of the X-Men in the MCU?
Why can't it just be its own thing?
Okay, no. Here's the thing. I think Leo's question and Yo-Yo's question is right there on either side of what it likely is. I don't think it's one or the other. I do not believe that it's going to directly tie into anything with the MCU.
Well, I'm not saying tie, I'm saying they have a habit of preparing people, to either prepare them for like in the comics or whatnot. There's normally like twofold, just to like either push people either way.
That's the thing is, what I was just stating it for posterity's sake, like for everyone listening. I don't think it's going to be there to tie into anything to the MCU.
No.
And insofar as preparation, I don't think it's to prepare them for the MCU. I think that it's more likely that it's a palate cleanser.
Yes.
Because front and center for many, many years was the iteration of X-Men that had been developed by Bryan Singer for 20th Century Fox. And that even went into the X-Men Evolution cartoon. The designs for those characters seep their way into that animated series as well. And that touched everything. And I do believe that Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, he wants the X-Men that he knows and loves, that so many other people are familiar with, that we're not all like uniformly wearing like black biker leather fucking onesies and just like looking ubiquitous. It's like, whoa, the difference here is that guy has a visor that he can shoot lasers out of, and then they still all just dress the same. Isn't that fun? We're gonna get the brighter colored characters and what have you, and I think this is a way to show like, oh, these are what the adventures of the X-Men are actually like. They do fight prejudice and racism and xenophobia and all this stuff, but also they are costumed adventurers. That's the thing that you have to like keep a beat on. You have to balance that. There's no balancing act in the movies that was done by 20th Century Fox. The closest you get to nuance in any of those movies is X2, X-Men United. And it's just there's a lot to be said for what was and wasn't done in the movies that were made. And this cartoon, it allows people who are fans of the original series to get a continuation, but they also have to make this continuation accessible to like a newer generation that is a little bit more savvy than we all were in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And that hopefully works for both sets, for both of those demographics, those generations, because they hopefully are like parents and kids watching it together. And that gets the kids to look back and truly check out X-Men, the animated series from the 90s, which they might have Disney Plus, but they didn't really care because it didn't look like the X-Men that they're familiar with. But now sitting down and sharing that experience, it kind of preps this younger generation for like, oh, is this what the X-Men's really like? And it allows a little bit more of a public opening of opinion to what that story could be when it's finally on the big screen again through Marvel Studios. The biggest hurdle to overcome is going to be the exclusion of Wolverine in live action X-Men movies for at least one movie. Because that's one place where they really screwed the pooch in the Fox movies. They made Wolverine the fucking main character of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And not to disparage Hugh Jackman, he's an excellent actor, and he did a great job with how that character was presented in those movies, barring X-Men Origins Wolverine. But we need to not have him be the focal point. I am so tired of just like not seeing anybody else get developed. And I know it's tricky with an ensemble team at the center of your story, but like all we knew about Scott Summers in these movies was that he and Wolverine didn't get along because Wolverine wanted to fuck his fiance. That's it.
He died unceremoniously.
Yeah. And then
no one seemed to care.
And then Fox killed him because he wanted to be in Bryan Singer's Superman movie. Great decision.
So that does answer my question. And, I didn't expect it to be connected at all. Kind of like the comics aren't connected with the MCU.
Yeah.
But it is preparing the audience for what the X-Men should be.
Yeah. Just a palate cleanser. You'd be like, oh, hey, this is kind of the stories we're going to tell. And once again, like, anybody that's like, oh, see, this is the stories they're going to tell. It's like, oh, well, slow your roll, because like they're not saying, look at this and you should expect exactly the things you're seeing on this animated series. They're saying these are the types of things. This is not canon. this is Legends, and you can still enjoy it. And then we're going to do a thing in the movies which we think will really blow you away. Like, it's the same idea that they're doing with Star Wars.
Yeah.
I actually saw Wolverine at the Boston airport.
Yeah? Like, what?
So I saw Wolverine at the Boston airport.
The super. I'm missing this.
I'm waiting for the punchline. Just wait.
Yeah.
It's the Logan Airport.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God.
Nick says, hi, guys. Hey, Nick. How's it going?
Hey, Nick.
Hello.
Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, it's gonna be really cool to see what they do with the 10 episode new season they have coming up. I think we are gonna see a lot. If there's anything that might seem familiar from the animated series, they may have Professor X show up in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness when we might see characters seep out from the edges of different realities throughout the multiverse. And one of them, it's been rumored with kind of fuzzy like visual evidence that Professor X is going to be one of them. And the figure as it is on the mock-up, it looks like Professor X as he was in his floating enclosed wheelchair from X-Men the animated series.
Wow.
Which, if they do have Professor X in such an apparatus in live action movies, I'm for it, because it'd be kind of cool to see them go with a more futuristic tech approach. You got to remember, this is a world that Tony Stark existed in and improved a lot of shit, especially when he stopped focusing on making weapons of war.
Okay, speaking of Tony Stark, what the hell is this thing I keep on seeing?
Tom Cruise. Okay, so the second I saw it, I fucking it was one of those things where I was like, oh, there it is. I was waiting for it. Let me check it off on the calendar. Because once they did that shit with Spider-Man No Way Home, I started like kind of pacing back and forth. I'm like, no, don't, like, somebody's gonna start saying it and they're gonna try to wish the rumor into fucking being. And what it is back when Paramount was trying to develop Iron Man, Tom Cruise, and here's the thing, it was not Paramount necessarily, it was not them pursuing him. Tom Cruise actively pursued playing Tony Stark in an Iron Man movie. He wanted that to be his big franchise. And ultimately, they wanted to cast him, but he priced himself out of the project.
Good.
And then Jon Favreau came in with Zathura and Elf under his belt, you know, two wide-ranging family movies, one incredibly successful and the other one very ambitious with the amount of special effects that were used in it by a guy who had never made a movie that used those kinds of special effects. Zathura was basically just to pad his resume to make this plea, let me make Iron Man. And he is the one who brought up and fought for Robert Downey Jr. to be cast as Tony Stark in the movie. The runner-up for Tony Stark, if they finally just didn't relent and pay for the insurance to cover him, was going to be Sam Rockwell. That's why he ended up playing Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a meme or something somewhere with like Brad Pitt as Thor and all these other actors from the 80s in those roles as if they would have made it back then or whatever.
Yeah. But like, honestly, I think if Sam Rockwell had been cast as Tony Stark, I think people would fall in just as much love with the character as they did with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
He's also a very charismatic and smart and funny guy. It's like, it's a no-brainer. And that's also, it's funny because Sam Rockwell's longtime partner is Leslie Bibb. And she's the reporter who sleeps with Tony Stark in the first movie and then shows up again in Iron Man 2. So like, they were all friends and they all knew each other, and like Robert Downey Jr. and Sam Rockwell obviously got along very well. Like, as much as their characters hated each other in Iron Man 2, like, you can't deny, like, when they were, you know, doing the verbal tete-a-tete, like, the chemistry was palpable. And I really hope that after they finally released All Hail the King on Disney Plus, which was a one-shot they did several years ago after Iron Man 3 to try to be like, oh, see, we knew what we were doing, guys. Just kidding about the whole, like, you know, Mandarin thing. Wink, wink.
Go ahead, Leah.
You know, hold on. Yo, you were gonna say something?
Did I?
Yeah, you started to say something, yeah.
I know I was mouthing that I'm thankful that Tom Cruise wasn't like.
Oh,
okay.
I was gonna say something.
Go ahead, Steve.
I know you were as well. I was gonna get to you, Steven. So Steven, then RW.
So Robert Downey Jr., if with Iron Man, I know you guys were talking about him being cast with Iron Man, and the year before he was in a movie called Seven. Or no, sorry, Zodiac. Sorry, I'm sorry.
By David Fincher?
Sorry, Zodiac. He was the same director.
Jake Gyllenhaal was in that with him?
And Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, okay.
I reviewed the damn movie today on my podcast, so sorry. But
to apologize.
Last week, I mean, because it came out this week. But we had this theory that if he wasn't if he wasn't charismatic as he was in Zodiac, he wouldn't have been cast as Iron Man a year later.
Maybe, but see, I've only seen bits and pieces of Zodiac, so I can't really speak to how charismatic his character was to match up with any representation of Tony Stark. It seems to me like that would be a pretty heavy movie, so that'd be oddly comparable. I do know that one of the other movies he had done around that time was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which was written and directed by Shane Black.
Yeah.
Which was also the first thing I had ever really seen, or at least taken notice of Michelle Monaghan in. And the other big name, like the 3-person like ensemble there, was Val Kilmer, who plays a detective that he's working with, that he's supposed to be studying, named Gay Perry. And honestly, like Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, like I could watch them all day long in a movie, going back and forth the way they did in that flick. And I felt that Harry, the character he played in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, was definitely a bit closer to how he played Tony Stark altogether. You know, not to say that Harry was like the smartest guy, but he's certainly like savvy enough to save his own ass. And that definitely plays heavily into the character of Tony Stark in the first movie. He is primarily focused on himself. Even when he's like, I'm going to stop all this stuff from happening because I caused it. It's not really about, you know, oh, these bad things are happening and someone should do something. It's me, I. It's like, all right, dude, like still take a back seat. Like, this is not about you. Go help people. And that's that. I mean, what's the last fucking line of the movie Iron Man? I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's still very much an egocentric and narcissistic character by the end of that movie.
Nick says, have you guys seen Robert Downey Jr. in U.S. Marshals? I thought he played a great role as a villain in that. Also, look at Robert Downey Jr.'s roles in the 80s. You know, he's Air America is still one of my favorite movies of his. You know?
And Chaplin.
Chaplin. Oh my God, Chaplin.
Yeah, I did read the Chaplin.
Did you know that Charlie Chaplin's daughter plays his and Holly Hunter's aunt in the movie Home for the Holidays, directed by Jodie Foster?
No.
Geraldine Chaplin. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I found that out and I was like, oh shit, that's really cool, because like he had not too long before that played Chaplin in the movie. And you know, I mean, but he did some great stuff. I mean, friggin' a lot of people got a kick out of Tony Stark like kind of hitting on Aunt May in like Spider-Man Homecoming and what have you. And it's just funny to me, and maybe a couple of you guys who were around to remember it, like him being an Only You with Marissa Tomei, and the fact that they were a couple for a long time in real life. Like the two people I know that Robert Downey Jr. was in long-term relationships with were Marissa Tomei and Sarah Jessica Parker. You know, and like it's really cool to see that Marissa Tomei came into the MCU through the Spider-Man movies, and to see them on screen like that, like still had great chemistry, and clearly like they stayed friends for years after they had broken up. Like that's cool as hell. And not for nothing, I've seen stuff outside of the films when it comes to Robert Downey Jr. And he definitely has the heart for playing a character like that. If you've ever seen the video where a little kid gets told that they're about to meet Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. is like so excited to like be like, "Hi, how you doing? It's me, Tony Stark." And the kid turns around and sees him and not like the suit of armor talking to him, and just starts bawling. Robert Downey Jr. straight up looks like he is about to cry himself. Like he feels awful because he thought this kid was gonna like just like glow, and instead he like ruined the kid's childhood. It's like, oh man, that's fucking rough. Like, who do you give a hug there, the kid or Robert Downey Jr.?
Well, if you he has a great story too. It's just, you know, his addiction to drugs and how his now wife saved him. You know, the guy really turned around his life, and it's just a very inspiring story.
Yeah, well, honestly, I know it's tough to say, especially because like I have lost a lot of respect for Mel Gibson over the years, you know, for a number of reasons, but primarily like the out and out like racism and just like this just weird alcoholism that forces his odd opinions on Christianity and everybody else. It's just so fucked up that he became who he is now. But Robert Downey Jr. was given his first big chance past Ally McBeal by Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson directed an updated version of The Singing Detective for Showtime. And he also fought for Robert Downey Jr. to be cast. He's like, he's the perfect person to play the main character. And if you've ever seen it, it's actually a really good movie. It subverts your expectations. It's not what you think it is when it starts. And, that's the thing that kind of threw him back into the zeitgeist, and he started clawing his way back up. He did The Singing Detective, and then like a year later, he did Gothica with Halle Berry. And then he just kind of did like a few like uncredited short things here and there. Then boom, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005. And people took notice of it. And next thing you know, he's in a fucking Disney movie, The Shaggy Dog. Then he's in a Richard Linklater movie, A Scanner Darkly. And then you jump into Zodiac and then Iron Man.
Yep.
I actually think he was in that Anton Yelchin movie too, right before Iron Man. Charlie Bartlett. It was like a sort of more emotional, updated version of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But like, he's definitely like had his peaks and valleys, and at this point, I hope that it just continues to be a peak and there's no more valleys involved. Tom Cruise having played that role though would have been an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And he never would have let it go. He never would have stopped playing Tony Stark. He would have done to that character what he's done to Mission Impossible.
That arc reactor would have just been made out of pure thetans.
Jesus Christ.
Nick says when you're talking about Robert Downey Jr. going through drug problems, he played Less Than Zero. Was an interesting movie back in the 80s as well. And I know we are running a little late because we do have another show to record in a little bit, so we're going to wrap things up. My apologies there. Any last words before we wrap it?
Yeah,
sure. Go ahead.
They announced the Oscars and Razzies yesterday, the nominations, but I just want to say one thing. Dune has 10 Oscar nominations and well fucking deserved. Best cinematography, best picture, best costume design, best score, best visual effects, best director, and many others.
Excellent.
Out of all the other categories, I just think Dune should get a clean sweep because it was good.
They must have paid the most for the for the
spirit.
reviews.
A lot of spices. A lot of spices.
There's so much spice.
So much spice that flowed over to Star Wars.
Now, is Titanic the one that's won the most so far?
What?
Is Titanic the movie that's won the most Oscars so far?
Don't know. Don't care about Titanic.
No, but I'm saying,
no, but he's saying,
if
like,
Dune were to win
comparable.
10 Oscars, would they beat whoever has the highest Oscar win?
I don't know who has the most Oscars. But
looking that up now.
Yeah, most.
I
Oscars
thought it was
won by
Titanic,
film.
but maybe somebody beat them.
Lord of the Rings, Titanic.
Lord of the Rings.
With how many?
Ben-Hur.
And Ben-Hur.
With how many?
11.
So then, if they're only 10, then they can't.
Yeah,
take
they
it.
can't beat Ben-Hur.
That's all I was trying to ask.
Yeah.
But Titanic was nominated for 14, won 11. Ben-Hur was nominated for 12, won 11.
Original Ben-Hur?
Yeah, the original with Charlton
Nice.
Heston. And where is this? Titanic. Oh, Lord of the Rings went undefeated, going 11-4-11. It won all 11 of the nominations that
Nice.
it was up
So
for.
it's kind of a tie for 11. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It was a very good movie, and for someone like myself who didn't have a whole lot of background on Dune going in,
neither.
I found myself incredibly intrigued and interested, and by the end I was like, oh, they better greenlight that fucking sequel. And they did like a week later, so thank God for that.
See, I went in loving the original movie, and it's I was very happy with Dune.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm always glad to hear that, like when people are into like the first adaptation of a thing. You know, they might say they're going to give it a shot, but then they come out and they're like, it wasn't blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, you sound like you gave that a fair shake.
They didn't put Sting in it. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's because they wanted it to be good.
Also, Spider-Man No Way Home has an Oscar nomination, but
Yeah,
it's
for
not
like
for
special
best-
effects, right?
Yeah, for visual effects.
Yeah, I
And
saw a
people-
lot of people incredibly butthurt about the fact that Spider-Man wasn't nominated for Best Picture. I'm like, why would it be?
Just be happy it's nominated for an Oscar.
How about just be happy that it fucking exists?
Yeah.
How about that? You went to the movies and had a good time. Do you need the good time you had validated by the movie winning a fucking award, or could you just enjoy it
That's
because you
politically
enjoyed it?
driven.
It's fucking stupid. You know, if you liked it, you liked it. I've always said that. Like what you like. Fuck what anybody else has to say about it. You like a movie and it doesn't win Oscars, does that mean it's a movie that's not worth you liking anymore?
No,
not at all.
Rogue One.
What about it?
Yeah.
I like Rogue One.
We're talking about Oscar shit.
Basically,
Boba Fett.
like what Brandon said. Like what you
No,
like.
you said like it and just like it. So there you go.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead,
even when I said I don't have any use for Rogue One, I've been very insistent. Like, I'm glad that you guys liked it. I am. I wish I liked it. I wish I enjoyed it, but like there were too many glaring issues for me whilst watching the movie. I just couldn't do it.
Here's the thing. Nobody should, put their opinions on anybody else. And like you
Exactly.
said, if you like
Everybody's
it, you like
welcome
it. If
to
you
it.
don't, you don't. Yeah, I mean, everybody's welcome to express their own opinions. We can definitely have disagreements, i.e., Boba Fett. But when it all boils down to it, it's everybody do what they want to do.
Pretty
just-
much like what you like. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Anybody else? Because I just had something.
Wow.
All right, so I just wanted to touch on Peacemaker.
Oh yes, we totally forgot about Peacemaker.
It has
Holy
been-
shit!
It has been fucking outstanding.
Yeah. it has.
I only remembered this is like such an old fashioned like Brandon freedom of speech agree. Thank you very much, Nick. But the thing is, I only really knew about Peacemaker because of the DC Comics Who's Who in the DC universe, like loose leaf books they used to put out. They came out and you could put them in like a binder, like a Trapper Keeper or whatever. And they were basically just big cards. It was like sheets, but it was exactly the same kind of thing you'd get on a trading card. Like the DC Cosmic cards or the old Marvel Legends cards and stuff like that. And that's how I knew Peacemaker. And when they announced that he was going to be in The Suicide Squad by James Gunn, I was like, yeah, that tracks, because James Gunn just loves pulling from the farthest corners to make these weird tertiary and quaternary characters like fresh and interesting, because you're not used to seeing them in 1,000 different things. But when they announced after the movie, which I did enjoy, I liked The Suicide Squad. I saw that in the theater as well, even though I could have just watched it on HBO Max. I was impressed altogether, which wasn't surprising for me because I've been a fan of James Gunn for a long time. I actually said years ago he wrote a movie called The Specials, which is about like a 5th-tier superhero team. And I turned to my brother and we finished watching. I said, dude, if somebody gave him like a huge budget, I'm pretty sure he can make a fucking dope ass superhero movie. And then he eventually made Guardians of the Galaxy. Looks like I was like right on the money with that. But Peacemaker as a show, why? Like I just couldn't. I'm like, okay. I mean, John Cena's cool. I like the guy, for real. But a whole series, let's see how that goes. And holy shit, not only has the show altogether for the entire ensemble been funny and gory and action filled, but John Cena has had a chance to display a range that I beforehand did not know that he was capable of. There is
I've
a
never
scene.
seen him.
There's a scene
that
in
button, Leo.
there's a scene in there's a scene in the show where his character, Chris Smith, is like really, like truly upset, and he is just weeping, sitting on his bed. Like he gets into his parked trailer home, sits on his bed, and he is just silently bawling. And he was doing that. Like you could see John Cena was actually acting the hell out of that scene, and not to the point where it's like, oh, acting. No, like somebody told him they ran over his cat or something right before that scene, because that's what it looked like. He was genuinely like feeling that what he was supposed to. And the timing between him and Freddie Stroma, the guy who plays Vigilante, is just absolutely astounding. I was so surprised to find out that guy playing Vigilante is British. Like his American accent is flawless. And it's funny to me that people keep making the comparison between Vigilante and Deadpool. If you watch the show Peacemaker and watch the Deadpool movies, there is a world of difference. Like, yeah, they both wear costumes that cover the entirety of their body and face. However, and they might both seem like they're mouthy. The difference, though, is that, especially in the movies, not like the comic books, Deadpool isn't really playing insane. He's playing smarmy guy who can heal and got some really gnarly scars. That's how Ryan Reynolds plays the character. He's not really all that nuts, not bonkers like he's always been in the comics. Whereas Vigilante, he is at the very least a sociopath, maybe a psychopath. And as someone who is neurodivergent, I think he may have a few issues in that department as well. He doesn't read social cues very well. He blurts constantly. He just can't follow the thread of anybody else's conversation. He interjects with whatever is on his mind and what he wants to talk about. And he plays it all so naively. This dude is a fucking dyed-in-the-wool killer. We witnessed him whip ass in the prison. It was nothing more satisfying than seeing all those racists just get taken to the fucking cleaners by him. All right? So he can put his money where his mouth is, but like he's still essentially this fucking goofy kid who grew up in the same neighborhood as Peacemaker and then was just like, you know what? Peacemaker's my hero. I'm going to be just like him, and fashioned himself into Vigilante. And that's why he does what he does. I tweeted out the other day, I said, you know, everybody keeps making this comparison between Vigilante and Deadpool, but I'm pretty sure that James Gunn really wants us to make this comparison. And I put a picture up of Peacemaker and Vigilante, and right below it, a picture of Spike and Chester from Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
the big dog in the red sweatshirt, and then the little one like, hey Spike, what are you doing next, Spike? Huh, Spike? That is full on what you see in Peacemaker like every fucking week. And this past week was classic James Gunn. And I'm not going to say what happened, but the last scene of the episode was just equally funny and macabre, horrifying, gross, and entertaining. It was trademark fingerprinted James Gunn. If you haven't seen the show, if you've been on the fence, I do highly recommend it. I've been pleasantly surprised from the word go, and there's not a single person in it who hasn't been doing an excellent job. You will absolutely despise Robert Patrick almost immediately in this series.
Yep. No, isn't James Gunn the one that got in all kinds of trouble, but now he's back?
Yeah.
He got in all kinds of trouble. He made tweets like 12 years ago. And for anybody that knew who James Gunn was back then, this is back when he was still very much like in the trauma days, where he was trying, and I don't know what his reactions were to anything, but I know guys like that still trying to be a provocateur. You know, you do these like quote low rent, gory schlock fests, and your target demographic becomes the people that you make tasteless jokes towards. And that's the thing. They were absolutely tasteless. And I think a lot of people lose sense of the fact that a lot of humor is filtered through a prism of personal pain. And he never delved into it. I know this much, but he was like, listen, a lot of you folks are coming at me because you're saying like, oh, people who are victims of this, that, and the other thing. And like, I'm probably like one of the people that victimizes. You know, I don't want to say anything about myself or anyone I'm close to, but please understand my life has personally been touched by people who were victimized by those that they trusted, whether it was family members, people at school, or even the church that I went to as a kid. You know what I mean? So like people jumped, and I'm not making a pun, but people jumped the gun, and it was all based on a lot of those Pizzagate folks, the alt right folks who were just trying to get rid of him because he has a more leftist leaning ideology, and he was now making these huge movies that everybody was talking about and were becoming the hottest thing since bread first came out of the oven. So yeah, he went away for a little bit. They fired him from Marvel, and Warner Brothers went right to him and they said, "Listen, that sucks, but you know, you stepped forward, you apologized, you deleted the tweets, but you acknowledged that it happened, and we still want to work with you. We're not gonna let people dictate who we hire to make our movies. So why don't you come on over and let us know some of your ideas? We'll see what we can do." And that's how the Suicide Squad happened. Now he's got that. He's doing Peacemaker, which likely is going to have a second season, and he's still going back to complete the trilogy for Marvel Studios. And that's really saying something, especially because Marvel Studios owes quite a bit to a lot of the cosmic shit he started to set up in Guardians of the Galaxy to everything that came after it, particularly in Phase 3. You know, the design work and stuff that he did, you could tell if you know and even remotely like trauma movies, he brought that same sensibility with him. He was able to utilize a high budget that Disney was able to give him and still use a lot of practical stuff and make the world feel much like George Lucas did with A New Hope, make the worlds that they were in feel lived in and real. Not everything was computer generated or so like what I call Spielbergian shiny. You know, like it's supposed to be this lived in world and supposed to be something that's been used or touched 1,000, a million times, whatever. But somehow it still has that like newly fabricated, manufactured look. Like, all right, dude, like we know you just had that built for a set. It doesn't look remotely real. It looks fake. James Gunn, not the case. And that's a Lloyd Kaufman school of filmmaking right there. That is the second you give a filmmaker a gigantic budget, their actual creativity goes out the window because they have to stop problem solving. You can throw money at it, and there's your solution. And I think he brought the right storytelling sensibilities to that, and it helped inform how they moved forward in Marvel Studios. And once they were able to like let the air clear from those dickheads that were trying to take him down, that's when they went right back to him and said like, okay, come back, you know. Because I mean, he did 2 of the 3 movies he planned on, and he set up Adam Warlock coming through. We need to see that come to fruition. And it's great because he's like, yeah, I'm done after the trilogy. You know, he's going to stay on as an executive producer and likely try to help with any story points that they get stuck on. That's the kind of storyteller he is. There's always a collaborative effort going on over there. And that's something I think we all should be a little bit more appreciative of as well. But yeah, Peacemaker, it's excellent. This is the kind of stuff that I really hope that DC and Warner Brothers continue to do. Not necessarily ultra violent and what have you, but just quality. Bring in good storytellers, bring in auteurs, bring in independent filmmakers and what have you, and give them the ability to tell these stories, and just don't let them fucking go off and do what the fuck ever. Say like, hey, here's this, and then just do whatever in between. That's fine. I mean, I got a Peacemaker show, and I now because of that show, just because of conversations, Batmite is canon. Batmite is canon now because of Peacemaker.
And we might get Kite Man.
Yeah, Kite Man is canon as well because he talks about kicking the shit out of Kite Man.
Yeah. And we won't say what he says about Superman, but
no. But I mean, there's some cool like references and stuff like that, and it's very very clever, but it definitely like hints at the larger world that this is a part of, and it's done in such an organic way that it never pulls you out of the project that you have right in front of you. So it's great, and watch it for Freddie Stroma as Vigilante, if for nothing else. That guy, he'll blow you away. You'll hardly even recognize the fact that he was a fucking kid from Harry Potter or the blonde douchey DJ dude that Anna Kendrick worked for in Pitch Perfect. Because I had no fucking clue. Like my jaw hit the floor. I was like, what? Yeah, like he's the blonde British dude with like the fucking beanie and the fucking 8-pack that she works for as an intern or whatever when she goes to school. It's this nerdy fucking bespectacled guy that's like, hi, I'm Vigilante. It's like, all right, cool. He's clearly a good actor.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check out Peacemaker. And so I want to thank everybody for watching and listening this fine evening. Definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. For me, just Google Leo Pond. You'll find a bunch of stuff. But, follow these awesome people. I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network. There's a lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff. Speaking of that, Steven, where do you like people interacting with you?
Find Super Retro Throwback Reviews on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And as always, we're on the Dorkening Podcast Network, and I'm here every Wednesday. We have 2 shows: Super Retro Throwback Reviews, the Audio Files, and CSI the Vegas Files on all major podcasts and distributors, and on the Dorkening Podcast Network. And check out our Teespring store and our Patreon. Link is in the show notes.
RW.
How's it going? You can follow me here. Well, you can't follow me there, but at the bottom of the page is all the links to all my stuff, whether it be Tenor, Cameo, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or whatever. Also, stop over to Amazon.com if you haven't already and get my book, Life Inside My Head, because you really want to get inside this head and figure out why I am the way I am.
Yo.
Yo Saint Laurent on Instagram, Twitter. It's pretty much where I'm hanging out nowadays. If anything else changes, of course, I will let you know, though.
Brandon.
Hey, everybody. If you want to come over and check out the Powers Combined Facebook group on Facebook, we're a bunch of geeks.
Wait, is that on Facebook?
Hold on, wait. Carry the 2. Yep, that's on Facebook. Got it.
Is it Powers Combined?
But what about Meta? Is it on Meta?
What the fuck about Meta? But yeah, Powers Combined. We're a group of geeks. We just we share memes and info. We're there for anybody who has questions. One of my favorite things is when somebody who is new to comics or any fandom out there comes in and they have genuine questions about something and like, hey, should I check this out? Can anybody recommend this? And we're a place where, you know what, you're not going to get made fun of because you don't know everything about the thing that you're actually asking questions on. That's why you ask the question. Our number one rule is don't be a jerk. And if you violate that, you will get booted immediately. So come on, check out Powers Combined. You can follow me on Twitter at Brandon's Powers and on Instagram at This Brandon Has Powers. I'm here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Dorkening Wednesday Night Podcast. And I am also doing 2 podcasts. They're bi-weekly, switching off week to week. One is The Dork Night, which covers all things Batman with Leo Pond and our good friend Justin Cooper. And the other one is Comics Paradox, which covers alternate reality stories in comics. We're talking about Elseworlds from DC, What Ifs from Marvel, then like story arcs like the Age of Apocalypse from the X-Men comics in the 90s. We just talk about what's going on in those stories and how it differs and what maybe there were ramifications, lasting effects. It's a lot of fun. And we're switching off back and forth between that. We're going to be releasing them very soon. We've been working on developing it all together. So keep your eyes peeled.
And if you look like Boba Fett, you'll probably be banned as well. Just joking. RW, what the hell are you doing?
Do I ever know what I'm doing?
I don't know. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you later.